On this episode of Locked On Angels, we paused GM week because the real GM, Perry Manassian, continues to make moves. So what did Perry do? I'm sorry? Kyle Hendricks? That's who he got? You trade away a starter with a 5.19 ERA in 2024 and you add a starter of 5.92 Kyle Hendricks? Man, we have a lot to talk about, don't we? It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you'd like to get back to the Super Halo Bros for all the Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and become a Locked On Everydayer. And whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube, leave a comment. It's one of the best ways to get in touch with us and be a part of the conversation. And this episode of Locked On Angels is brought to you by GameTime. You can download the GameTime app right now, create an account, and use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase.
Thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Hey, we've been fans of this team for years, lifelong fans. You won't see us hopping any bandwagons. We're sticking with our Halos through thick and thin, and that's why it's a pleasure, a privilege to be part and your hosts of Locked On Angels. It's our third off season, and the news and the moves are coming quick and fast, Mike. Quick and fast. Stick and move. We're here 5 days a week all the way through the middle of December. We'll drop down to about 3 episodes a week, then ramp back up to 5 before spring training. On today's show, we're pausing GM week for just a day, and we will get to Mike's GM picks on Friday. We will also get to your GM picks next week. So we will have all of those gathered up, dialed up, all of that, and we're looking forward to hearing from you. But on today's show, the Angels added Kyle Hendricks. We're going to tell you what this means for 2025. Mike, let's get into it.
Yeah, he is a lifelong Chicago Cub. He was a world champion with the Cubs in 2016. John, he's getting $2.5 million, and he's 35 years old next season. The numbers are not great. They are Griffin Canning-like, and he is almost 6-7 years older than Griffin Canning. He's 4-12 in 2024 with 130 and 2/3 innings pitched, 29 games, 24 starts, with almost a 6 ERA, a 5.92 ERA, and a 67 ERA plus. 2023 was a bit better, 6-8. 137 innings pitched, 24 starts, and a 3.74 ERA with a 1.14 ERA plus.
Yeah, Rhett Bollinger of MLB.com wrote that of all pitchers who threw at least 2,000 pitches last season, Hendricks had the lowest average fastball velocity at 87.7 miles per hour, while Tyler Anderson ranked second at 89.4 miles per hour. Now, to give you a little bit of background on Kyle Hendricks. I wrote Kendricks. That's funny. Kyle Hendricks, his repertoire consists of a changeup that sits about 81 miles per hour, a four-seam fastball that's between 87 and 88. The sinker ball is between 87 and 88. And then the curveball, which is 74 miles per hour. A year ago, his changeup had a plus run value of 12. So in situations where he was preventing runs, the changeup was able to get him out of those situations and prevent 12 runs, essentially what that means, but a -9 in 2024. So It was great a year ago. Last season, not so great. His curveball had a plus run value of 4 in 2024. Mike, tell us some numbers we need to know about Kyle Hendricks' season from 2024.
Yeah, he had a 15.3 K rate, which was in the 4th percentile in baseball.
Stinky.
A 7.6 walk rate, which was in the 56th percentile. 45.6% ground ball rate, 67th percentile. 97th percentile in MLB for average exit velo at 85.9. So he doesn't get hit too hard, which is good, even though he's throwing really, really soft. 87th percentile in hard hit percentage, 286 batting average against. And he did have a strong finish to 2024, right, Johnny?
Yeah, across his last 5 starts, he went 1-2 with 28 innings pitched, a 2.89 ERA, and a 1.179 WHIP. One thing I'll say is the combination of a lack of hard hit baseballs off of him and the ground ball rate. That's a good combination, but the K rate's not there. He's not really a K pitcher, strikeout pitcher. The walk rate is, modest, 7.6. It's not above 10, which is good. But that 286 batting average against, woof, Mike. So give me your thoughts, give me your feelings. We're going to answer, how do you feel about this? And then why do the Angels do this? Why don't you start with, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, I looked at a stat earlier, and I'm going to pull it up right now, that I think is the reason why the Angels had to go and get somebody like Hendricks, because I think one of the major things that they struggled with last season was throwing first pitch strikes. Remember, they had about that, and they just couldn't do that, even though it was part of the philosophy, the strategy. The Angels just struggled with first pitch strikes, and so we even had a few episodes where we're like, "Hey, Reed Detmers, you did good, right?" What I noticed, and I'm looking at the stats right now, he had a 68.4 first pitch strike percentage, which was 9th among the starting pitchers with at least 100 innings pitched in 2024. Okay. So that's good news.
It's something.
It's something, right? And so maybe this move, veteran guy coming in, World Series ring, has some playoff experience, cheaper than Griffin Canning. Maybe this guy is more of a voice for the rest of the starting staff and the young guys that are going to come up, right? I just don't see the benefit in this guy unless they unlock something. And John, if they unlock something, he's probably going to put up the numbers he did in 2023, maybe close to those numbers, 6-8, 24 starts, 3.74 ERA. Now that I'm looking at those numbers, I'm like, those are good. So yeah. I mean, maybe he doesn't even, I don't know if he comes close to that, because at this point, I remember when he was pitching, and I think he did pitch against the Angels this year. He just is so hittable. He is so hittable. And yet he's not getting hit hard, but he is hittable, and he doesn't really deceive anybody on that mound. And so this feels like a replacement for Griffin Canning. This feels like a guy who can kind of swing between the starting staff and the bullpen. Like Kenny Rosenberg isn't there anymore. This feels like he's taking that role. And so I just have a lot of like whiplash from the Angels picking up dumpster dive type of players and then going, all right, Trevor Cahill, let's go. Right. And that's what's frustrating about this. And I know they're not done, and I know it's early and all of those things, but I'd love to just echo the sentiment that I'm seeing from our everydayers. Like this feels a little and concerning, right?
Yeah. Well, and look, you're not beating the accusations of the Angels like to go waiver wire shopping or dumpster diving, because this is the kind of move that is. I mean, you can pick somebody like Hendricks up off. I keep saying Hendricks. You can pick him up off the waiver wire, Mike.
Yeah.
I mean, Colin Ray was put on waivers and went unclaimed with the Brewers. What are you doing? Pick up Colin Ray, right? Yeah. And so to sign this guy, $2.5 million is the reported salary. I understand it's cheaper than Griffin Canning. I also understand that Griffin Canning earned you Jorge Soler in return. That's all well and good. I didn't have a problem with that. I know that some people are like, well, the Angels need pitching. Why they get rid of Canning? Well, you can make moves and things like that. But to me, you're not beating the accusations that you go waiver wire shopping and dumpster diving. And that's the kind of move that this feels like. And no disrespect to Kyle Hendricks. He's a World Series champion. He was the anchor for that rotation during the 2016 World Series, the thing. I'm all flustered by this. But here's the thing. If he is the veteran guy, if he's gonna teach somebody that sinker and help them, because I did see the Angels, Lance Brozdowski, who does a lot of great in-depth stuff on pitching. He said across the minor leagues, the Angels have increased their fastball and sinker usage by 7%. teaching guys how to throw that fastball and the sinker. And in a world where everybody's moving away from the four-seam fastball, and we've seen Patrick Sandoval do it, we felt like Griffin Canning needed to do it, and they're implementing the sinker. I think they're teaching guys how to throw a fastball, because every guy that we've seen, they can't hit strike one. They can't pitch for strike one.
Yeah.
And you got to do that with your fastball sometimes. However, if that's the idea here, if that's what's going on here with Kyle Hendricks, I will say $2.5 million. Who cares, right? It's a drop in the bucket. It's cheaper than what Griffin Canning would have been. My only issue is that, is this really going to be the fifth starter, or is he going to be the swingman? Because yes, you got rid of Griffin Canning, but couldn't Griffin Canning have done that job if that's what Kyle Hendricks is going to be doing in 2025? And so I think about the fact that you're right. Kenny Rosenberg's gone. Why are we still holding on to Jose Suarez? If we get Kyle Hendricks and we do this and it's happening, can we get rid of Jose Suarez? That's what I want to know here.
Yeah, right. And that would make sense to get rid of the guys that just haven't been able to perform. I mentioned to you this last weekend, we were off air, we were at a party, and I mentioned that I watched the 2004 Netflix documentary about the Red Sox, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Kevin Millar is in that. And he was brought over from the Marlins, and he was going to go to Japan, but then the Red Sox claimed him and made everybody mad. He brought an incredible vibe to what the Red Sox were in 2003 and then eventually in 2004. And I wonder if the Angels are doing some of that with some of these quote unquote waiver wire moves, dumpster dive moves. Let's get a Hendricks in there and have him really emphasize some things with our starting staff and be a great veteran presence, and perhaps even eat some innings, quality innings, some of those things. I'm just looking for the positive here, but I wonder if part of Perry Manassian's plan is to flip the culture over, because that's really what this team needs, is a fresh culture of guys who are going to go out there and they're going to fight and they're going to battle and they're going to do it. Not just there's a lot of fight in these guys and they lost 8-6, right? They're going to have a lot of fight and they're going to win 8-6. They're going to come back and win. And so I wonder if there's something in Hendricks that I'm not aware of, that you're not aware of, that he brings that. But again, this is like stretching it out, because when I saw this move, I went, oh, come on. Really?
Right. Yeah.
Really? Right.
Yeah.
That was my response to it.
Yeah, I hear you. And I think that that's all very realistic, that he can be that presence that some of these young guys need to be around and show them what it is to fight on the mound. And you know what? If that's the plan, that's fine with me. But then don't tell me you're going to compete in 2025. Again,
Right.
We're talking out two sides of our mouths here when it comes to the Angels. I love the Soler move. I think that they needed a big bat.
Yep.
What does this address? I'm not really sure, Mike, unless it's just vibes. Like, are we just a vibe team now? Like, we're all
so vibey.
best friends, the power of friendship in Anaheim, Mike. All right. Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Coming up on Locked On Angels, what's the benefit here? Why add Hendricks? We've gotten into it a little bit, and we'll get into a longer conversation in just a minute.
Locked On Angels is brought to you by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5 APY on uninvested cash, receive unlimited 1% deposit bonuses, and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on any IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of the high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. You can sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. That's Robinhood.com/gold. Terms do apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rates may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC.
And today's show is brought to you by our friends at Arena Club. Card collectors, the idea of spending $2,000 or more on Luka, Ellie, or Mahomes rookie cards just isn't in the cards. So thanks to Slab Packs from arenaclub.com. It's now possible to score great cards for a fraction of their retail price. Arena Club provides real value, a complete view of all possible cards, and clear rates for each one. Arena Club slab packs are revolutionizing the repack game with transparency. All your pulls are revealed, immediately placed in the showroom for safekeeping, selling, trading, or auction. Arena Club grading process is accurate, fast, and transparent with a full grade rationale provided and an explanation of how your card was scored. So whether you're buying, selling, trading, or displaying, Arena Club is the card collecting platform you got to check out. And right now, you can get 10% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/lockedonmlb. Use the code LockedOnMLB. That's arenaclub.com/lockedonmlb. Code LockedOnMLB for 10% off your first purchase.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. And we are the Super Halo Bros. We're honored to be here. And we're talking about the Angels making a move for Kyle Hendricks, or Kendricks, if you want to read John's notes. And the biggest question,
I just
John,
want Howie Kendrick back. That's all.
Yes, that's really what it was. You're trying to call out for that.
Right.
So what's the benefit of this move? That's the question we're wrestling with. Really, is this move necessary? So when we ask that question, John, what do we mean?
Yeah, I think about the fact that what are you addressing that you were lacking last season? Now, to your point that you made earlier, I think first pitch strikes is a very real thing that the Angels were lacking last season.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Mike, they just couldn't do it.
Right.
And I don't know if it's mental. I don't know if it's their capability. Sandoval, Detmers, those guys all struggled with it. And it seems simple in concept. And, you know, I'm not a starting pitcher, so I don't have any room to talk here. But you see that a lot of guys out there are more than capable of doing it. And Kyle Hendricks is one of those. So that's what he's going to bring to the table. But I just don't quite maybe understand if this move is necessary, because maybe you could have put Griffin Canning in this swingman role while you add starting pitching somewhere. I mean, there was a good back and forth in our comments about the Soler for Canning move, and somebody said, why don't you just start with Canning in the bullpen, or, you know, the swingman type that you need? And I understand that point, but Canning did yield you something that you need, and that was the big bat of Jorge Soler.
Yeah.
The other side that I'm wrestling with here is, would it make more sense to give a spot like this to Sam Aldeguerri or George Clausen, who hasn't made his major league debut yet? Even Caden Dana, who we feel like, maybe he needs a little bit more time in the minor leagues. What about Chase Silseth? What about Reed Detmers? Like, what are we doing with those guys? And aren't there better options out there? Like yesterday on my GM episode, I suggested Jacob Eunice, Spencer Turnbull, and it's not like those guys are out of the running, but I'm concerned that if this is their pitching move, that raises all kinds of alarm bells for me.
Yeah, and it can't be. I mean, bottom line, it can't be their pitching move. And I know there's rumors out there that Artie's going to spend some more money, that he's letting on, and that there's been conversations with guys like Corbin Burns and things like that. But it's all in the air. It's in the air, John. And so the truth is that this move is very confusing, and it can't be the only move. There has to be, in my opinion, two starting pitching moves. After this one. And they have to be significant starting pitching moves. Not Corbin Burns significant, but they have to be Seth Lugo significant. They have to be what the Royals did last offseason. It has to be those types of guys that you can count on to give you good quality innings, not guys that had moments where they had good quality innings, 10 years ago. My favorite tweet yesterday was somebody said they're building a great team for 2017.
Oh, it was right? Lindsey Crosby.
It was Lindsey. Yeah. That's why I loved it. And so that's what's really frustrating about this particular move. And obviously I don't know the inner workings of what's happening there. I can only speculate, but there has to be at least two other moves that go along with this, and they have to be good quality arms. And I'd love your thoughts on that. But before I kick it to you, one other thought, John. Is this an announcement by the Angels of how they feel about the Billy Epler guys on the roster that are starting pitchers, and that they want to let some of these younger guys marinate in the minor leagues? Is this them saying, we'd rather have Kyle Hendricks than Reed Detmers in that starting rotation right now because he has just not figured it out, and we don't want to rush Caden Dana because what we saw at the end of the year wasn't great?
Yeah. I mean, look, if you're not going to give opportunities to those Billy Epler guys like a Reed Detmers, and I know Sandoval's obviously hurt, so he's not going to be around. But I mean, where does that put Seth or Aldegary or George Clausen? Are you going to let those guys work on some things? I mean, that honestly, that does kind of give you a buffer. I mean, if those guys need to start in AA or AAA or what have you, and not be the guys that you count on coming into the season, I think that's fine. I just wonder, are you jeopardizing a spot in the rotation for somebody that you think ought to be in the major leagues, like a Aldegary or whatnot? I know that we saw just a small sample size just to see how he can handle things at the end of the season. But to me, he's a crafty pitcher. He's like what Kyle Hendricks used to be, a crafty pitcher who's deceptive, not a lot of velocity. I get that sort of thing. I guess what I'm getting at here, Mike, is when it comes to Kyle Hendricks on this team, I just don't see how he addresses a need.
Yeah.
And we talked about, hey, the walk rate was kind of high among starters. The ERA was 28th in the league. The strikeout rate, not that great. Well, now you have a guy who, he's good at controlling the walks, but, ERA was high. Strikeout, he's not a strikeout guy. And I'm not a huge strikeout guy either. I like longevity going into a game longer. That's why I like Kohanowitz, right? But to see this move, again, I think it just, you said, does it announce them, with talking to the Billy Epler guy saying, keep working, guys. I think, again, it's an announcement of, here we are, we're the Angels, and we're going to get these past these prime guys. And you've tried to soften the blow a little bit with the fact that, hey, maybe he's going to teach these guys something.
Sure.
Maybe he's the veteran presence. Maybe he needs to show them how to fight, how to be a bulldog. And sure, yeah, maybe he is maybe he's the Kevin Pillar, right? Maybe he's the guy who inspires a little bit of confidence in these guys. But Mike, the question I have for you, and you brought this up, is this a Seth Lugo move? Is it on that level of like a Seth Lugo or a Michael Wacha? You're giving them another chance. You're going to take them on. What do you think?
Well, you and I've talked about that. Where's that Reclamation project? And I suggested that maybe it's Griffin Canning and they can work him out. Then they traded him away and they got Jorge Soler. Maybe he's the guy that they can figure some things out, and it's all about arm angle. Maybe he's this year's Sean Manaea. But that's the thing. Like, the Angels haven't shown us that they're able to do that. I know that we've only had this coaching staff for a year, but historically, the Angels haven't shown us that they're able to figure out how to make these guys better. Yeah. And so I'm bringing all sorts of doubt and criticism and questions to the table, not because I want to be bitter, angry, and frustrated, but because that's all I can bring to the table. Because if I bring hope, then I'm a sucker, right? I'm a fool because I'm buying into something that is fool's gold. I have to bring doubt and all sorts of questions because there's not a history with the Halos being able to help these guys figure some things out. Maybe Barry Enright is able to do that in his second year. And if that's the case, and Hendricks, you almost got me saying it. Hendricks wins 12 to 14 games and ends up being a great pitcher for us, then I will be so stoked and so apologetic and say I don't know anything about baseball. But John, if he's opening day starter,
right,
I'm gonna be mad.
Yeah, I don't think they'll go that far. But here's the thing: is I would love to look at this. I would love to be the kind of fan of the Angels who could look at this move and go, oh, okay, he's just there for this, that, A, B, and C. He's going to be this or this, but also have the confidence to go, yeah, but they're still going to go get Corbin Burns or Blake Snell or something.
Yes.
And I have not had that confidence. I won't have that confidence. And they have given me nothing to have that confidence. So that's why everybody's freaking out and pumping the brakes on this, is because they've shown us nothing in the past. Maybe that changes, maybe it doesn't. But the fact is, I would love to have a move like this and go, he's just a supplemental piece. It's fine.
Yes.
But you don't know if they're going to come into the season with Kyle Hendricks as the opening day starter, just like you said. So I think that's where we're at as Angel fans.
Today's show is brought to you by GameTime. If you're looking for tickets to a game, you're looking for tickets to a concert, you maybe need to laugh because we're finally out of the election cycle, and who doesn't want to laugh right now, right? Or maybe you need to go to the theater. John, Back to the Future is actually in like the theater at Pantages in LA. Like, you know where I'm going. I'm going to go see that. I'm going to use GameTime because GameTime, they just want to save you money on wherever you're going on the tickets that you're purchasing. When you get the app, they have exclusive in-app flash deals that has deals on select seats ahead of time. Plus, they have zone deals where you choose the section, GameTime chooses the seats, and all in pricing. Toggle that feature on, and you're going to know what the total cost is when you check out. Plus, with every purchase, you receive GameTime ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So download the GameTime app today. Use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB and get $20 off your first purchase. Again, that's LOCKEDONMLB to get $20 off your first purchase. What time is it? GameTime.
And today's show is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need all in one place. Live bets on all sports, including the NFL, all on the same page. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can open up the app. You can check out the latest stats, and you give you live play-by-play and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. No scrolling, no going back and forth, no 8 screens to make sure you got everything. It's all right there, and it's all for you. So just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment war with FanDuel, an official sports book partner of the NFL.
John, the classic Nintendo game, was it Batterup or RBI Baseball? It had the dun 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 dun.
That was Super Batterup on the Super Nintendo. Yeah.
I'm glad I got to sing the music. I'm bringing it up because do you remember when we were playing each other, or we were playing against Brother Jeff or Brother Dave, and we went to go for the strikeout? You held the crossbar, you held the top button, and then you would
slow the pitch down,
and it would slow it down, and it would like kind of.
And you can even kind of move it around a little bit.
Yes. That's what it's going to feel like with Tyler Anderson.
I was like, where are you going with this?
and Kyle Hendricks in the same starting rotation, because Rhett Bollinger we mentioned it earlier on MLB.com, his article. He said, of all the pitchers who threw at least 2,000 pitches last year, Hendricks had the slowest fastball velocity, 87.7. And then Tyler Anderson was second at 89.4. So every time they throw it, it's going to go, except we would strike each other out, but I think they're going to get rocked, right? I mean, we know that Tyler had good success at the beginning of the season last year and got to be an all-star, but then we really, really struggled. We really pitched for him getting traded, but is this really going to be the 1-2 punch or the 2-3 punch or the 3-4 punch in this starting rotation?
Yeah, I've got to think about the fact that that they're very different in terms of Kyle Hendricks has a sinker, and Tyler Anderson, who's also, good at inducing the ground balls with his changeup. The changeups are their best weapon. Now, I know Hendricks wasn't that good this last season, but it has been really good in the past. And so they're crafty pitchers. I actually think Hendricks is a little more crafty than Tyler Anderson, but that doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. It actually makes me wonder, Mike, are there teams out there open to taking on Tyler Anderson's $13 million salary because that's his annual value, and he's got a year left on his contract? Would teams like to start the season with Tyler Anderson on their team? Is that something that the Angels can do or accomplish? Does this move kind of signal that? What do you think?
Perry's always been in the trade market and has always made okay trades. I mean, we've seen some good ones and we've seen some not so good ones. We've seen good ones when he's gotten prospects. we've not seen really great ones when he's traded major league caliber players. Yeah. Jorge Soler is still a question mark, right? And we're hoping that he would be good. John, I don't think Tyler Anderson's getting traded because they keep talking about having pitching depth. And I think you might have said it on the show, or we might have read it in one of the baseball articles, that the Angels need around like 10 starting pitchers.
Oh, I said that yesterday on the GM episode.
So
because I had Snell and Eunice and Turnbull. It's like you got to have 10 pitchers to pitch for you throughout the year.
I do think that that's a reality for the Angels, and so I don't think that unless they get kind of blown away, I don't think Tyler Anderson is off of this team. If he's off of this team, it's because they are terrible at the All-Star break and they trade him at that point.
But if they can, which
they can,
couldn't last year, apparently.
Yes. And so I don't think that they trade him. I don't think he's a trade piece, but I would love to be wrong, but I just don't think that that's the philosophy here. I think it's adding veteran starting pitcher depth so that they're not relying on Davis Daniel and Kenny Rosenberg and some of those guys that they've had to rely on in years past.
Yeah. I would love to be wrong as well. If every instinct you have is wrong, the opposite must be right. That's kind of what I've been living by the last few days. No relation to what's going on. Anyway, Tyler Anderson, who again had a great first half, tailed off in the second half. I don't think it's a bad idea for teams to go, hey, you know what? If we can recapture that and have him as a piece of our rotation to start the year, maybe they have somebody coming back. Maybe it's Shane Bieber, right? Who's definitely not going to be back until at least late June, early July, right? Yeah. You get Tyler Anderson and you're the team that's signed Shane Bieber, knowing that about halfway through the season, Tyler Anderson's going to run out of steam and Bieber's going to pick up the rest of the way. Maybe that's how this goes down. But I also think that, a lot of the criticism against Tyler Anderson was the fact that he's not somebody you'd want pitching in the postseason because of the lack of fastball velocity. I think that's kind of a silly argument. I mean, every pitcher is different. We saw how, bullpen management went with Dave Roberts, who he's, using all these different kinds of arms and getting guys off balance and off speed and whatnot at the plate. But if you have Tyler Anderson rolling into the first half of the season, he's going to get you wins and he's going to help you stack up, wins in your division. And so I could see a world where the Angels could trade him and that there would be offers on the table. What they could get for him, I'm not quite sure what that might look like, but I think at this point, it's not a bad idea to trade him, especially if you have, again, the two slowest fastball guys in all of Major League Baseball. It just feels backwards. And so this move, I get it. It's depth. Maybe he's not in the rotation. Maybe he's out of the bullpen. Maybe he's not somebody you're counting on. Maybe he has something to offer in terms of veteran presence. Maybe. I guess I'm tired of playing the maybe game. Aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So tired of it. And that's, every offseason feels that way. Right. And so that the Angels have had fans that have drank the hopium. Right. But
we've been there. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But they're doing the same thing again and giving us the same narrative again. And I know we're not done. I know it's early. I'm going to say all of that stuff, but this doesn't inspire me or excite me at all. And I'll be honest, if they go out and get Corbin Burns, that'll be thrilling. But I'll be there. I'll be about 80% of the way there because there's still another move that they need to make for this starting rotation, in my opinion.
Yeah. And again, I would love to be the kind of fan who could see that my team got Kyle Hendricks and go, oh, all right, whatever. Like,
a Braves fan, right? That's what the Braves do. They're like, oh, we're just going to flip that guy. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Right?
Well, they'll get him and fix him and make him a Cy Young candidate. But what I'm saying is there's so much to go around. There's so much expendable cash flow and players coming up behind him. It's like, oh yeah, maybe he's just there to, fill a void for a little bit, but if he's gone, it's fine. I would love to have that attitude about the Angels. I'm just worried that, he's going to be our main character in the story of the Halos this season.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Now for your second listen, check out Locked On MLB. You can find the show on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day.
Hey, give us a follow at Locked On Angels on Twitter and at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. Whether you're watching or listening, come on over to today's show, get in the comment section. Tell us if we're wrong, honestly. If you think this is good, then let us know. If you agree, let us know. I'm always willing to have my mind changed and be convinced of something. So let us know. Mike, since we had to push your episode off to tomorrow, we did Kyle Hendricks today, his show. What do you got in store for us tomorrow?
Well, John, I'm actually going to continue to run my GM episode with the players that I've already selected. And I know that he is on the team. Kyle Hendricks is on the team. So that's not going to change the decision process and the strategy that I have. And I'm looking forward to explaining it. So Perry, stop making moves for one day because I need the spotlight to be on me. I'm going to be the GM tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
All right, looking forward to that. We hope you'll come back and join us. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here with us, everybody, and we'll see you back here on Friday.